Hey guys, welcome back. Around 65 million years ago, the world belonged to giant predators. Along a quiet shoreline, a group of small carnivores is busy looking for food when suddenly, the king of the dinosaurs arrived. A massive Tyrannosaurus Rex charges in, determined to turn these little hunters into lunch. The smaller creatures try to escape by rushing into the water, but the T-Rex isn't about to let a meal get away that easily. Just as he's about to enjoy another successful hunt, something even bigger has other plans. Out of nowhere, a colossal megalodon erupts from below and swallows the T-Rex whole. Just like that, the apex predator becomes nothing more than a very expensive breakfast. Fast forward to the present day, 4 years after the events in the South China Sea. Somewhere in the Philippine Sea, Jonas finishes a workout and emerges from a shipping container aboard a cargo vessel. Sneaking between rows of containers, he secretly photographs a group of men dumping barrels of radioactive waste into the ocean. After gathering evidence outside, he slips into one of the ship's cabins and takes pictures of several important documents. Nearby, a noisy macaw decides it's the perfect time to attract attention, causing one of the smugglers to investigate. The man enters the cabin, but Jonas quickly distracts him before knocking him unconscious. Soon, more men arrive, and Jonas deals with them just as efficiently. He makes a run for it across the ship while the crew chases after him. Although he manages to lose some of them along the way, he eventually finds himself cornered. With no way out, Jonas does what Jonas does best. He fights. Using impressive skill and plenty of experience, he takes on the attackers one by one. Meanwhile, the ship's captain orders his men to bring Jonas back, dead or alive. Eventually, Jonas is trapped again. This time, he briefly distracts the crew by reminding them they'll soon be facing environmental crime charges before diving straight into the ocean. The smugglers laugh, pointing out that the nearest coast is more than 320 kilometers away. But Jonas doesn't seem concerned at all. A short time later, his friend Mac arrives in a plane and pulls off a perfectly timed rescue. After landing safely, Jonas hands over all the evidence he collected. Meanwhile, at an oceanic research institute in China, Director Jiuming is testing a specialized underwater suit designed to give its wearer extraordinary strength. His niece, Mei, reminds him about the celebration planned for later that evening. That night, Jonas arrives at the Institute's anniversary event and reunites with Jiuming. The Institute is celebrating its 10th anniversary, and one of its lead technologists, Hilary Driscoll, opens the ceremony before handing the microphone to Jiuming. After a brief introduction, he reveals the star attraction, a live megalodon. According to Jiuming, it's the only captive megalodon in the world. The creature was discovered when it was still a pup and has been raised at the facility ever since. Thanks to years of observation, the researchers have learned an incredible amount about the species. He also announces that generous donations from supporters will allow the Institute to explore deeper parts of the ocean than ever before. The following day, Jonas speaks with Mei. Since the death of her mother, Suyin, Jonas has taken on the responsibility of raising her. He explains that she won't be allowed to join the upcoming expedition into the trench, where the team hopes to discover new forms of marine life. During their conversation, Jiuming's assistant, Rigas, mentions that Jiuming is currently in the water swimming with the megalodon. Needless to say, both Jonas and Mei are immediately concerned. Jiuming, however, assures them that everything is under control. He explains that he's conducting an experiment and has been swimming alongside the megalodon ever since it was young. To demonstrate, he shows them a sonar device. 1 click calls the megalodon toward him. 2 clicks send it away. The gigantic predator responds exactly as expected at first. After hearing 2 clicks, it changes direction and swims away, but only for a moment. Suddenly, the megalodon turns around and charges back toward Jiuming at incredible speed. Jiuming repeatedly activates the signal to stop it, but this time the creature ignores every command. He quickly reaches for his emergency escape system, but the megalodon closes the distance in seconds. Then both disappear from view. For a terrifying moment, everyone assumes the worst. But just when it seems like Jiuming has become shark food, he suddenly reappears behind them, having escaped at the very last second. Afterward, he tells Jonas that the megalodon's behavior is highly unusual. In fact, it's been acting strangely for the entire week. Sometime later, Jonas, Jiuming, Mei, and the rest of the team travel to a marine research facility known as Mana 1. Back at the Institute, however, another problem is already unfolding. The megalodon manages to escape through a weak section of the ocean intake gate and disappears into open water. Meanwhile, the diving team prepares for its journey into one of the most unexplored regions on Earth. Alongside Jonas and Jiuming are Rigas and another team member named Sal. They board one submarine, while Jiuming and 2 additional crew members travel in a second vessel. Everything seems to be going according to plan until Jonas discovers a stowaway. Mei has secretly joined the mission. Jonas is furious and immediately considers canceling the entire expedition. However, after some convincing from the others, he reluctantly agrees to continue, assuming nothing too dangerous will happen. Unfortunately, that's usually when things go wrong. As Mei settles into her seat, the team gets another surprise. Jiuming's megalodon has followed them and is rapidly closing in. Since the creature is much faster than their submersibles, they decide their best option is to keep moving forward. The team accelerates and descends deeper into the ocean, eventually passing below the hydrogen sulfide layer. They assume the megalodon won't follow them that far. They are wrong. Not only does it continue following them, but they soon discover 2 additional megalodons nearby. The team attempts to put distance between themselves and the massive predators, but they quickly realize what's really happening. The sharks are in the middle of a mating cycle, and suddenly, Jiuming's strange behavior from the megalodon finally starts to make sense. With the megalodons temporarily distracted, the team relaxes a little and continues exploring the trench. As they move deeper, they discover an area filled with geothermal activity. But that's not the only surprise waiting for them. In the darkness ahead, they spot a massive structure. At first, it looks like a shipwreck, but the closer they get, the more obvious it becomes that this is something entirely different. What they're looking at is a highly advanced technological facility hidden deep beneath the ocean. Then another surprise appears. Their sonar detects a submarine positioned above them. These aren't scientists, they're resource hunters, and their leader, Montez, is personally overseeing the operation. Montez and his crew quickly notice Jonas and the others. Knowing they've been spotted, Montez decides to erase all evidence of their illegal activities before anyone can expose them. Earlier, his men had planted explosives around the site while wearing specialized deep-sea suits. Now it's time to detonate them. A massive explosion rips through the trench, sending debris flying in every direction. Realizing things have gotten out of control, Montez immediately tries to escape. Unfortunately for him, the blast has another effect. The nearby megalodons become extremely agitated, and angry megalodons are never good news. The giant sharks immediately attack Montez's submarine. Meanwhile, the explosion tears open the hydrogen sulfide layer that had trapped these prehistoric creatures in their hidden ecosystem for millions of years. A massive breach is created, and suddenly, everything down there is free to leave. As Jonas and the others attempt to escape the disaster zone, their submarines are struck by debris and severely damaged. The situation keeps getting worse as chunks of wreckage continue crashing around them. Eventually, all communication is lost. Back at Mana 1, the surface team repeatedly tries to contact them but gets no response. Concerned, Mac orders his assistant Jess to prepare the rescue sub and head down after the missing teams. But while inspecting the vehicle, Jess discovers a major problem. The rescue submarine has been sabotaged. Worse yet, the damage can't be repaired in time. Deep below, Jonas's submarine remains stranded. The crew quickly evaluates the damage. Communication is down, oxygen is running low, and help isn't coming. Fortunately, Rygas manages to repair the communication system just enough to reconnect with Mana 1, bringing a huge sense of relief to Mac and the others. Jonas doesn't waste time. He explains that they're in serious trouble and will need to leave the submarine using their deep-sea suits. When Mac informs him that no rescue vehicle can reach them, Jonas pauses for a moment before proposing a solution that sounds completely insane. They're going to walk. Jonas explains that they'll cross the ocean floor on foot and make their way to the underwater station. Mac immediately argues that the plan is far too dangerous. Jonas agrees, but it's also their only option. With just 2 hours of oxygen remaining in each suit and nearly 3 kilometers separating them from safety, the team quickly gears up, exits the submarine, and begins the journey. Along the way, Jonas reunites with Jiuming and his crew, who also survived the explosion. Now together again, the larger group pushes forward across the trench. Back at Mana 1, Mac starts considering the possibility that a spy may be operating within their organization. He asks DJ to review all security footage involving the sabotaged rescue submarine from the past 24 hours, while Jess begins digging through personnel records looking for anything suspicious. Far below the surface, Jonas and the others continue their dangerous trek through the darkness. Then suddenly, one of the crew members feels something moving around him. Before he can react, he's yanked away into the abyss. The rest of the team is too far ahead to notice what happened until it's already too late. By the time they turn around, all that's left behind is his helmet. Whatever took him did it fast. Realizing there's nothing they can do for their fallen teammate, Jiuming urges everyone to keep moving. Stopping out here is simply too dangerous. Elsewhere in the trench, Montez has survived the megalodon attack and is trapped inside his damaged submarine. While attempting emergency repairs, he successfully restores communications and contacts his mysterious accomplice. The person on the other end is none other than Hillary, the same woman who spoke at the Institute's anniversary celebration. The same woman everyone trusted, which means she's the traitor. Montez proudly tells her that he eliminated the Mana 1 team. Unfortunately for him, Hillary quickly informs him that he failed. Jonas and the others are still alive, and they're heading straight for the station. If they make it there, everything could unravel. Meanwhile, Jonas's group enters a section of the trench so dark that it feels endless. Visibility is almost non-existent. To avoid attracting predators, they switch their suit lights to less visible colors and continue forward. Even so, Jonas can't shake the feeling that something is watching them. And honestly, down here, that's probably because something is. Fortunately, they eventually spot Mana 1 in the distance. Safety is finally within reach. At least that's what they hope. The problem is that they still have 400 meters left to travel, and their oxygen levels have dropped to just 7%. Panic isn't an option. Every breath matters. As they carefully move forward, Joming's sonar suddenly detects multiple contacts approaching at high speed. Jonas immediately orders everyone to run. Moments later, they see what's coming. The same aggressive creatures that were being hunted by the T-Rex at the beginning of the movie. Only now they're hunting them. The predators charge toward the group at terrifying speed. Jonas and the others open fire, desperately trying to keep the creatures back. But there are simply too many of them. Several members of the team are attacked, and Maying is grabbed and dragged away by two of the creatures. Fortunately, the deep-sea suits are incredibly durable, allowing her to survive the attack. Jonas rushes in and manages to pull her free just before things get much worse. But the nightmare isn't over. More carnivorous creatures continue pouring in from the darkness. Thinking quickly, Joming activates an extremely powerful signal light. The sudden burst of brightness temporarily scares the predators away. For a moment, it seems like they've caught a break. Then they notice something far worse. The light has attracted the megalodon. Several of them are now heading straight toward the group. Realizing the danger, Joming prepares to run in another direction and use the light as a distraction. Jonas immediately stops him from making a heroic but incredibly bad decision. Instead, he grabs the light from Joming's hands and throws it far away into the darkness. The megalodon immediately locks onto the light. In a single powerful bite, it crashes into a massive steel structure, tearing it apart while the other megalodons rush in as well. With the monsters distracted, Jonas and the others waste no time. They sprint toward the station as fast as their suits will allow. But the danger isn't over yet. One of the megalodons suddenly lunges toward Jonas and Maying. At the last possible second, Jonas reacts and pulls off a desperate maneuver, saving Maying from becoming shark food. Meanwhile, Joming and Sal run side by side toward safety. Then disaster strikes. A megalodon spots them and charges directly at their position. Sal notices that her oxygen is almost gone and realizes they aren't both going to make it. Knowing what's about to happen, she shoves Joming away, choosing to sacrifice herself so he can survive. Moments later, she's devoured by the giant predator. Joming barely escapes with his life. Jonas and Maying eventually catch up to him, and together they rush toward the decompression chamber. Outside, Rygas and another member of Joming's team have already arrived. Unfortunately, the woman's helmet has been cracked during the chaos and is seconds away from failing. The group manages to enter the chamber, but before decompression can finish, the pressure becomes too much. Her helmet suddenly implodes. She dies instantly. Joming is devastated by the loss, but there is nothing anyone can do. Sometimes the ocean doesn't give second chances. After the megalodons finally lose interest and swim away, the survivors remove their suits and head deeper into the Mana 1 facility. Something feels wrong. Everyone can sense it. As they move through the station, they discover armed operatives taking advantage of the chaos to transport valuable minerals and precious stones to the surface using escape vessels. The illegal mining operation has finally been exposed. Jonas tells Maying to establish contact with Jess. When communication is restored, he explains everything they've discovered and reveals the locations connected to the illegal operation. Jess confirms that the rescue submarine was sabotaged. The problem is, nobody knows who did it. At least, that's what she wants them to believe. The group continues exploring and eventually reaches another section containing several of Joming's research projects. Soon afterward, the 4 survivors arrive at a set of escape pods. But there's a problem. The controls aren't responding. Jonas asks Rygas to seal the compartment and see if that resets the system. Instead, the door suddenly locks behind them. That's when they realize the truth. Jess is behind it, and she's perfectly willing to sacrifice all of them. She launches one of the escape pods remotely and contacts Rygas. Then she offers a horrifying deal. Maying can live, but only if Rygas shoots Jonas in the chest. Desperate to save Maying, Rygas slowly raises her weapon toward Jonas. Maying immediately begs her not to do it. Jonas, however, calmly steps forward. If sacrificing himself will save Maying, he's willing to do it. But Rygas can't bring herself to pull the trigger. Frustrated, Jess ejects the final escape pod. Shortly afterward, she contacts Hillary, who orders her to eliminate everyone. Jess immediately begins flooding the compartment with water. Realizing they're out of time, Juming cuts the communication feed. Jonas quickly opens one of the escape pods and comes up with a dangerous plan. He'll enter a decompression chamber, leave it from the outside, and swim to another nearby chamber. It's incredibly risky, but if he doesn't do it, everyone dies. To make the plan work, Jonas has to expel every bit of air from his lungs. That gives him roughly 60 seconds to reach the other chamber, start decompression, and survive before blacking out. No pressure. Well, actually a lot of pressure. Jonas exits into the open ocean and immediately notices a megalodon nearby. Ignoring the danger, he pushes forward toward the second chamber. Just before reaching it, one of the smaller prehistoric creatures attacks him. Jonas quickly shoots it and continues moving. With only moments remaining, he finally reaches the compartment, seals the door, and activates the decompression sequence. But the extreme conditions take their toll. He loses consciousness. When Jonas finally wakes up, he discovers that someone moved him, and that someone is Montez. Knowing exactly who he's dealing with, Jonas doesn't hesitate. His friends are still trapped, and every second matters. The two men immediately begin fighting. Montez proves to be a skilled opponent and manages to throw Jonas into one of the mining machines. It's a close call, but Jonas escapes before being crushed. Moments later, he gains the upper hand and shoves Montez off a significant height, knocking him unconscious. Jonas rushes to the nearby control systems, hoping to help his friends. Unfortunately, Montez isn't finished yet. The man suddenly attacks again. What follows is another brutal fight. Fortunately, Jonas is simply the better fighter. He avoids Montez's attacks, counters effectively, and knocks him out for a second time. This time, hopefully for longer. Jonas then opens the compartment where his friends are trapped and finally rescues them. Meanwhile, on the surface, helicopters operating under Jess's orders begin approaching the Mana 1 facility. At the same time, Mac gains access to the security records. Reviewing the footage, he discovers undeniable proof that Jess sabotaged the rescue submarine. He immediately shows the evidence to DJ. Elsewhere, Jonas and the others make their way toward Montez's submarine. The problem is that the megalodons are still nearby, and they need a distraction. Juming volunteers. He exits the station and activates the exterior lights, hoping to lure the megalodons away from the submarine. The plan works. First, the giant sharks immediately charge toward the illuminated structure. But they don't just investigate it, they attack. The entire facility begins shaking violently as the megalodons slam into it over and over again. Before long, Mana 1 starts collapsing around them. Fortunately, Juming makes it back in time. The hatch is sealed, and the group finally escapes aboard the submarine. After ascending beyond the trench's depth limit, Juming discovers a cache of explosives inside the vessel. Looking back, they notice the breach created by the earlier explosion. It appears to be slowly closing, but what they don't notice is far more concerning. A massive tentacled creature quietly emerges through the opening, and it's heading toward the surface. Meanwhile, Montez is somehow still alive. Using his suit and an emergency flotation balloon, he manages to rise toward the surface. Back at Mana 1, Jess arrives with a squad of armed soldiers and heads straight for the room where Mac and DJ are hiding. Fortunately, they refuse to open the door. Then DJ comes up with an idea, a surprisingly crazy one. Armed with nothing but pepper spray and a taser, he opens the door and charges the soldiers. Against all odds, it actually works. The soldiers are temporarily blinded, Jess gets shocked, and Mac and DJ manage to escape. Not bad for a plan that sounded completely ridiculous. Meanwhile, Jonas and the others finally reach the surface. They climb onto the platform and quickly take cover, hiding from Hillary's armed forces. Not long afterward, Montez also reaches the surface and makes his way toward Mana 1. Meanwhile, after dealing with Jess and her men, Mac and DJ run into two more armed soldiers. Fortunately, DJ reacts quickly. He charges forward, knocks both soldiers down, and manages to disable them before they can react. Unfortunately, the noise attracts even more gunfire. With bullets flying their way, Mac and DJ have only one option. They jump straight into the ocean. After resurfacing, DJ pulls out a weapon he grabbed earlier and returns fire, forcing the soldiers to keep their heads down. The pair quietly sneaks back into the facility. Sadly, their luck doesn't last. Before long, they're captured. As they're being escorted through the corridors, Juming suddenly emerges from one of the cabins and pretends to take Jonas hostage. The performance is convincing enough to distract the guard, and that's all Jonas needs. Jonas immediately attacks the soldiers. With help from Joming and the others, the guards are quickly defeated. Elsewhere, Montez enters the control room where Jess and her men are gathered. He's pleased to see her alive, but his good mood doesn't last long. Montez informs her that Jonas survived and is currently inside Mana 1. The moment Jess hears this, she orders a full search of the facility. Meanwhile, Rygas and Maying prepare for an escape and notice something alarming. 3 megalodons are approaching the platform. At the same time, Jess speaks with Hillary, and the two begin celebrating what they believe will be their final victory. Soon, they expect to take complete control of Mana 1. Unfortunately for them, the megalodons have other plans. As the giant sharks approach, Jess confidently claims that the reinforced glass protecting them can withstand any attack. That statement ages very poorly. Seconds later, one of the megalodons crashes straight through the glass as if it were made of paper. Before Jess can even react, the massive predator swallows her whole, instantly ending her career and her life. Montez barely escapes the room before it floods and can only watch as his ally disappears forever. Back with Jonas's group, they manage to board a lifeboat. To avoid attracting the megalodons, they choose not to start the engine. Instead, they quietly row through the water, slowly, carefully, and thankfully, unnoticed. A gigantic megalodon passes nearby without spotting them. For a brief moment, it seems their plan is working. Unfortunately, Montez's remaining soldiers launch another lifeboat and immediately start their engine to pursue Jonas. The noise gets the attention of every hungry creature in the area. Montez instantly realizes the mistake and orders them to shut it off, but it's already too late. One of the soldiers raises his weapon toward Jonas. Then suddenly, a megalodon erupts from below and swallows the entire boat. Problem solved. Taking advantage of the distraction, Jonas finally starts his own engine and speeds away. Meanwhile, Hillary contacts Montez from her helicopter. He informs her about Jess's rather unfortunate encounter with a megalodon. He also reveals that he knows exactly where Jonas is heading. The hunt is back on. Aboard the lifeboat, Jonas prepares a harpoon fitted with an explosive charge, just in case they need to fight back against several 70-foot sharks. Normal vacation activities. The group studies a map and identifies the closest place they can reach. Unfortunately, that destination is a popular tourist resort known as Fun Island. At that very moment, hundreds of people are enjoying their day. They're completely unaware of what's coming. Some visitors notice groups of dolphins fleeing through the water at unusual speed, but nobody thinks much of it. After all, what could possibly scare dolphins? Not far away, a couple enjoys a romantic boat ride. A man is just about to propose. Then disaster strikes. He accidentally drops the ring. As he bends down to retrieve it, he loses sight of his girlfriend. Confused, he stands back up. She's gone. Moments later, the boat begins shaking violently, and then the entire vessel is swallowed by something enormous beneath the water. As Jonas approaches Fun Island, he realizes he's already too late. Montez and Hillary have arrived first. Desperately, Jonas and his friends begin warning people to get out of the water immediately. But most tourists ignore them, and the 3 giant megalodons continue closing in. Meanwhile, Hillary's group is suddenly attacked by one of the carnivorous lizard-like creatures released from the trench. Realizing the situation is spiraling out of control, Montez orders Hillary back to the helicopter. Gunfire echoes across the island. Panic spreads among the tourists. Within minutes, complete chaos erupts. Jonas and his team split up to help as many people as possible. Before leaving, Jonas tells Maying to stay hidden inside one of the lifeboat compartments where she'll be safe. At the same time, the 3 megalodons begin their assault. People riding jet skis and other watercraft are swallowed whole. Others still in the water are attacked before they even understand what's happening. The island quickly turns into a nightmare. Jonas, Mac, and Juming come up with a plan. They're going to use jet skis as bait, lure the megalodons into open water, and kill them using explosive harpoons. Meanwhile, Hillary waits for her men to return. When nobody arrives, she steps out of the helicopter to investigate. What she finds isn't encouraging. Both of her guards are dead, and something is watching her from the jungle. Immediately sensing danger, she grabs a weapon and climbs back into the helicopter. Unfortunately, she's a few seconds too late. One of the carnivorous creatures leaps aboard, drags her out, and pulls her screaming into the forest. Needless to say, Hillary won't be causing any more problem. Meanwhile, Jonas reaches the beach and discovers there's only one jet ski available, so he grabs the harpoons and heads out alone. At the same time, Mac and Joming head toward a storage shed, searching for explosives. Luckily, they find exactly what they need. Unfortunately, Montez's soldiers arrive at the same location. The soldiers are looking for shelter from the carnivorous creatures roaming the island. Instead, they discover 2 hostages waiting inside. Things quickly go from bad to worse. Out at sea, Jonas soon encounters the megalodon. The giant predators immediately focus their attention on him. 2 of them begin chasing his jet ski at incredible speed. Then suddenly, the 3rd megalodon bursts out of the water directly in front of him. Jonas barely avoids becoming lunch. The giant shark crashes back into the ocean and immediately resumes the chase. Moments later, it nearly swallows him whole. Elsewhere, DJ and Rygas recover a satellite phone from one of the dead soldiers. Before they can celebrate, a carnivorous creature appears nearby. Naturally, they run for their lives. By pure luck or terrible luck, they end up at the same shed where Jiuming and Mac are being held hostage. While the soldiers remain distracted, Jiuming notices a control button capable of opening a large door behind them. He quietly signals DJ. DJ understands immediately. Without hesitation, he presses the button. The door slides open, and the creatures come pouring inside. The soldiers instantly become the monster's new favorite target. Taking advantage of the chaos, the group escapes the shed. And before leaving, Mac grabs a bag full of explosive material. Something tells him they're going to need it. Meanwhile, stray gunfire strikes a gas container, triggering a massive explosion. As chaos spreads across the island, Jiuming and Mac begin searching for a helicopter, while DJ uses the radio to call for rescue. Out at sea, Jonas locks onto one of the remaining megalodon. He fires an explosive harpoon. Direct hit. Unfortunately, it barely slows the monster down. Then another megalodon suddenly charges in from the side. Jonas narrowly avoids its enormous jaws and cleverly uses the wave it creates to gain momentum. Taking advantage of the opening, he launches another attack. This time, his harpoon strikes with devastating force. The megalodon suffers a catastrophic head injury and finally dies. 1 down, 2 to go. Jonas scans the ocean for the others, but suddenly the water becomes eerily calm. Meanwhile, Mac and Jiuming reach the helicopter. Unfortunately, they're not alone. Several carnivorous creatures are already inside. Thinking quickly, Jiuming creates a distraction with loud noises, allowing Mac to move closer to the aircraft. When one of the creatures attacks, Jiuming grabs a shovel and fights back. The beast smashes the wooden handle in half, but before it can finish him off, Jiuming drives the broken tool straight into its head. The creature drops instantly, dead. The problem is that more are coming. Fast. Jiuming quickly connects the fuel hose to refuel the helicopter, but time is running out. Soon, he's forced to the ground while using the hose to keep the creatures away. Seeing no other option, Mac fires a flare directly into nearby fuel drums. The resulting explosion engulfs the area and wipes out the attacking creatures. Back at the shoreline, Jonas prepares to hunt another megalodon. But before he can attack, Montez suddenly appears and opens fire. Bullets tear across the water. Jonas barely avoids getting hit and immediately accelerates away toward the beach. Meanwhile, Jiuming uses the materials they gathered earlier to assemble an improvised bomb. At the resort, things are about to get much worse. A gigantic tentacle suddenly erupts from the ocean and attacks the swimmers. Panic spreads instantly. While everyone runs for safety, Maying notices a woman trapped in the water. Without hesitation, she grabs a surfboard and paddles out to rescue her. Jiuming spots Maying and quickly maneuvers the helicopter toward her. He's determined to get her out before it's too late. But the sea creature has other plans. A massive tentacle shoots out of the water and grabs the helicopter. Jiuming is thrown clear. Mac falls into the sea. And at the same time, the megalodon chasing Jonas finally arrives near the resort. Jonas barely escapes being swallowed. He races onto a wooden bridge just as the giant shark crashes through it. The structure collapses beneath him. For a terrifying moment, it looks like Jonas is about to fall directly into the megalodon's mouth. Fortunately, several heavy chains anchored beneath the water temporarily hold the monster back. Temporarily, the chains eventually snap, and the megalodon resumes its relentless pursuit. Jonas keeps running until the creature suddenly pauses. The brief opening sends him tumbling into the water. Nearby, Montez realizes Jonas is still alive and rushes onto the bridge. From above, he begins firing downward. But Jonas isn't finished yet. Using a broken wooden stake, he stabs Montez in the leg. The attack gives Jonas the advantage. He quickly disarms his enemy and takes control of the situation. As Montez bleeds, droplets of blood fall into the ocean below. Jonas notices something approaching beneath the surface. And just before Montez can launch one final surprise attack, Jonas shoves him toward the water. The megalodon immediately devours him, bringing a very permanent end to Montez. Meanwhile, the giant tentacled creature continues attacking the resort. Jiuming becomes trapped in its tentacles and struggles to break free. Realizing he needs one last gamble, he asks Maying for the bomb. She throws it to him. Seconds later, the creature drags him underwater. Fortunately, Jiuming still has both the bomb and his machete. Using the blade, he cuts himself free from the tentacles. Then he attaches the bomb directly to the creature. Boom! The explosion rocks the water, but somehow the monster survives. Worse yet, it grabs Jiuming again. Then something unexpected happens. One of the megalodons suddenly appears and attacks the giant creature. Apparently, even sea monsters have predators. The massive creature wraps its tentacles around the megalodon, trying to restrain it. But controlling a giant prehistoric shark turns out to be easier said than done. The megalodon bites down viciously and drags the creature deeper into the ocean. Back near the shore, Joming notices that Mac is trapped inside the wreckage of the crashed helicopter. He immediately rushes to help. Seeing the situation, Jonas heads over as well. But then he spots another megalodon approaching. Thinking fast, Jonas swims toward a nearby rock. He grabs one of the helicopter's broken rotor blades and begins slamming it against the water to get the shark's attention. And it works. The megalodon turns and charges straight toward him. Exactly what Jonas wanted. Preparing for the attack, he braces the sharp rotor blade against the rock. The giant shark lunges forward, and in the process, bites directly into the blade. The metal slices through its head. The megalodon dies instantly and sinks beneath the waves. Back on the beach, survivors begin emerging from the water. But the danger still isn't over. One of the carnivorous creatures suddenly leaps toward Maying. Before it can reach her, DJ rushes forward and shoots it dead. Looks like DJ picked the perfect time to become an action hero. Out at sea, Joming, Jonas, and Mac begin swimming back toward shore. Then they notice something alarming. Another megalodon is approaching. The three immediately separate, but Joming stays behind. Using his sonic communication device, he activates a signal aimed directly at the shark. To everyone's surprise, the megalodon calms down. The creature loses interest and turns away without attacking. With the danger finally over, Joming swims back to safety. The movie ends several hours later as rescue helicopters approach the island. Jonas, his team, and the remaining survivors wait on the shore, finally receiving the rescue they've been hoping for all along. And after surviving megalodons, prehistoric predators, traitors, explosions, and a giant sea monster, they've definitely earned it. Thank you for watching.